Alright, we are now in the array 3, which is the more advanced array problems. We're going to look at fix34. So this problem was a little bit tricky. A couple different pieces to it that made it tricky. One is that we could end up seeing a couple of different 3s and 4s together. And so what I found is, let me show you, return nums. When I get there, some of these have 2 4s, and the 4 actually comes in front of the 3, which really presented a challenge to this problem. So let's take a look at how we're going to do this, and I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit as I build this. First thing we want to do is essentially loop through our entire array. So let's create that loop for int I equals 0. We're going to use the I equals 0 loop because we need to use that index value. So I less than nums.length and I plus plus. Now what we want to do is look for a 3. If we have a 3, then we need to do something about it. So I'm going to do that with an if statement. So if nums I is equal to 3, then I'm going to do something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all grab that next value, because that next value is going to get moved to wherever that 4 was. So I'm going to say nums I plus 1 is equal to, I'm going to create a temp variable. So we'll call this, int temp equals nums dot I plus 1. Okay, and eventually we're going to assign that to our to another value, and in that nums I plus 1 we're going to assign the number 4. Okay, so now what I need to do in between is find the value that goes into, or find the place to go. So I'm essentially looking for that 4 that I'm going to replace. So here I'm going to have another loop. For loop. And I'm going to say int j equals 0 to j less than nums.length and j plus plus. I'm actually going to change this in a second, so if your code is different, that's okay. So I start off like this, and then I'm basically looking for that 4. So I'm going to say if nums j is equal to 4, then what I want to do is I want to put that temporary back there. So I'm going to say nums j equals temp. And then I also want to increment this past my loop, so I stop my loop. So I'm going to say j equals nums.length. So if I run this now, oops, I'm missing a semicolon, or missing 1, 2, 3, 4. Missing my return. Okay, now if I run this now, I still have a few errors, and what's happening is I have some of these 4s that are just kind of going in the wrong spot, and a couple other things that are not quite going right. So what I need to do, the reason is, as I loop through here, I am finding that I'm replacing the values in the wrong places. I'm essentially overwriting another 4 by doing this. So I start at the front, I go and I'm overwriting a 4 that I've already written. So what I need to do is actually put in here another variable. I'm going to call it 4pos for 4 position, and we're going to start it at 0. And instead of starting my loop at 0, I'm going to start it at this 4pos. So essentially looping through and trying to find the next 4. But since I've already written some 4s in there, I can't overwrite those 4s. Okay, so now I'm going to do this, look through there, and the other thing I need to add here is a way to update that 4pos now that I've found a 4. So 4pos equals j plus 1, so that the next time I look for a 4, it'll be at the next spot afterwards. I run it now, I'm all good. So hopefully you got this. Hopefully you followed along with what I'm doing. Again, this one took me a little bit longer. I'm running through it now once I've solved it. But if it took you a little while to figure it out, that's okay. Just keep trying. Thanks.